jazzy. You everything a man could ever want, girl, you jazzy. You not about that drama, you loyal and classy, you jazzy. And all these other niggas shoot the shot, but you ain't having it, girl, you jazzy.
Hi guys, this is your girl Jazzy Mango and welcome to the Jazzy Mango Red Carpet Lounge. I'm sitting here chilling with my homegirl, Miss Tressa Azarel. How are you doing?
Hey Jazzy.
How you been?
Oh my goodness, life is wonderful.
Oh man, that sounds great to just hear.
I'm excited.
You look beautiful.
Thank you, and you do as well.
Thank you very much.
Shining.
trying. But I really just wanted to get in deep with you, and I wanted to ask you, how do you go from being a school teacher to a serial entrepreneur?
Oh my goodness. You know what? For me, it was never planned. It was something that just kind of happened, which is why I know it's my destiny. I went on bed rest. I was a school teacher, and the doctor said, "Okay, you're having some issues with pregnancy, and you need to go home and stay in bed." And I'm thinking, 6 months?
Right.
Seriously? So I just needed to have something to do. I'm a firm believer that we should utilize our time wisely and be productive. And so I wrote a book, not realizing where it was going to take me. And that was in 2001. And so there weren't a lot of people putting out books at that time. It was like writing a book was the impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So I did it. I learned how to self-publish effectively. I made like 40 grand within the first 2 months.
Wow.
Never went back to work.
So I don't see why you would, right?
Because at that time, I have a master's in education. And so as a school teacher with a master's, I was only making 42 grand in 2001. So to write a book and make 40,000 in 2 months was like, okay, it's a no-brainer. I'm starting my own publishing house.
Right. Now, what made you start your own publishing company? Like, why didn't you reach out to other people and maybe get up under them? What made you say, I want to take this on for myself?
Yeah, I considered it. The great thing is that I have an undergrad degree in marketing, and so I really understood, the power of marketing yourself, building a brand, and I didn't want to put that in the hands of anyone else.
Absolutely.
So I said, let me do my own thing, and I'll learn along the way. Now, I had a lot of mentors who were really big in publishing that I could learn from, but I knew that self-publishing was for me.
So how did you connect with these mentors? Like, how do you say right now I want to start my own publishing company or just start my own business in general? How do I get myself in the circle to connect with these people?
Yeah, that's a good question because most people don't understand that they have to get in the mix, right? If you want to be a celebrity hairstylist, then you can't do that from your house.
Absolutely.
You got to get out. You got to, follow people who style the celebrities. You got to go to those places. And so in the book world, being able to get those types of mentors, I knew I had to go to all the trade shows. I needed to go to book signings and events where I could find these mentors. And so I started reaching out, telling them, what I was doing. People want to connect with people who invest in themselves. Mm-hmm. So I didn't go to people just saying, hey, can you help me? I went to people saying, hey, can I hire you?
Right.
And that makes all the difference
Absolutely.
in the world, And they were like, oh, sure. And guess what? A couple of dollars that I had to put out to invest in myself turned into like me building a multi-million-dollar empire.
Now, how did you say, okay, I want to go and start counseling people on their journey? So you went from, being a school teacher, being home, you're bored, you're like, all right, let me just write a book. But you didn't really want to write a book.
No.
So now you're like, all right, I got that's checked off. Now I want to help people achieve what I have achieved.
That sort of happened over time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of goals once I realized that, hey, I'm good at this. But I knew that, with writing a book, that's a creative phase. But actually publishing the book and being able to turn a profit is the business. I'm really good at the business side of things. And so I knew that there were a lot of other people who needed help. And because, again, I have this educational background, I was like, all right, I'm good at teaching. let me like start this consultation business where I can teach, hold somebody's hand, and help them along the way. And that turned out to be pretty, amazing for me as a whole, because I started the VIP Club, which is a group of entrepreneurs who want to do all of these creative things, whether it's write a book, start a business, write a script, produce a movie. And it just really turned into something that I could have never seen coming.
So how do people go about getting distribution? Like, because I know, some people might have the misconception that it might be difficult, or they don't know how to go about that. What would you tell them?
Well, number one, the biggest misconception is that you put your book out and you just throw it on Amazon. It's going to be a bestseller in life. It's going to be great, and you're going to sail off into the sunset. Not happening.
Especially now with social media,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right. And so, but that is the biggest myth. Distribution is a big, big animal that you have to tackle with time, with research, with understanding your target market, with finding those people who will actually buy your book. Because the key is, even right now, if you just magically can get into Target or Barnes and Noble, if there's nobody there to buy that book, those books are going back to the warehouse and they're coming back to you in your garage, and you got to sit on them. So the key is not necessarily just getting the distribution, but making sure that you've tapped into the target market that is available to buy the books.
Right.
You got to do both simultaneously.
Definitely.
And contacting distribution companies, the first thing that they're going to say to you is, how are you going to market this book? If we bought 3,000 books from you, who's buying them? And so that's the key. So this entire thing is a learning process. But that's what people don't get.
Right.
And we all live in this microwave society where it's like, oh, my book was finished last week. I told the editor I need it finished in 2 days. And then now I need my book cover in 2 more days. And then I'm going to market it for 2.2 seconds. I'm going to put it on Amazon, and boom, it's out. And then you get crickets.
Right.
The failure sets in.
Right.
So it's better to stop and learn how to do it the right way.
Now, how important is it for you to have a team behind you? Like, how important is your team to you?
Oh, my goodness. My team is like my life. I can't do without my team. Most people cannot really do things by themselves, but they think that they can.
Right.
It sounds great to say, I did it, but I doesn't work for me. Anything that I do successfully, there are a bunch of people behind me, and especially my family and my close friends. From me taking books, turning them into movies, from me, anything that I do, there's my family and my friends behind me for sure.
Right. And being that you mentioned that, I do want to ask about that. How did you transition into taking books and turning them into film?
Absolutely. So 2013, I decided that I wanted to put out movies. I wanted to take these books, turn them into movies. I started watching some of the other people in the industry who have been turning books into movies. And I was like, whoa, I don't want my movies looking like that. No way. Sometimes the lights are kind of a little dim and the camera's shaking a little bit. And I was like, no ma'am, not doing that. So again, I took those same strategies that I learned, just educationally, period. You have to research, and if you want to do things the right way. So I spent 2 years literally researching how to do it the right way. I hired the people who have been in the industry. I wanted even down to the script. Most people who write books, we assume we're Superwoman, Superman, and we can just write a script. Right. So not true. You have to be trained to do that if you want to do it effectively.
Right.
So even though I set out to write the first script for the first movie, eventually I was like, you know what? Let me hire somebody who's been doing it. Right. And so I was like, let me step back and learn a little bit. And so I hired Jamal Hill, who had already been producing movies, and he wrote the first script for me, and I learned. And so by the time I got to my second movie, I wrote the script for it, but that's because I had 3 years to learn and to watch. And so I shot my first movie in 2015. It was based off of a book called Secrets of a Housewife that I published. And 2016, it was out. We took it to ABFF in Miami and got a deal instantly from BET.
Now, that story sounds very like, okay, we're winning. I know that it was a lot that went behind the back, like, you know what I'm saying?
honey,
Because
listen.
it just, you know, when you watch people on TV or you see people or your idols or everything, you're just like, wow, everything just happened microwavable.
No.
Like, were there some drops? Did you take
Honey,
one
I
year for that?
cried. I went days without any sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We got to the point where there were times where, you know, we didn't have enough money.
Right.
You know, when you're shooting a movie and you think this is the budget and then things happen, you need more money to come up, you know, miscellaneous fees and things. So it was really rough. I mean, obviously we were all pleased at the end, but we went through a lot to get to that. And even now, you know, I'm getting ready to shoot my 4th movie.
Mm-hmm.
People thought, okay, we made mistakes the first time, we won't make any mistakes the
Right.
second time, the third time. We were still making mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for somebody that wants to take their book and make it a movie, or put it on Netflix or something like that, how, like, who do they connect with? Who can they go to? Is it a Google thing or?
So it's 2 parts to that question. When you say if they want to turn their project, if they want to get it on a Netflix or something.
Right.
Well, number one, you can reach out to networks and platforms when you're just in the script phase,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But that is where you need more politicking, knowing people,
Mhm.
getting in the mix. That's the hard part, right? I didn't take that route.
Okay.
I went a step further. I developed the script, and instead of going to these networks and asking, can you help me do my movie, I found my own investors, and I completed the movie. When you have a completed project, people are more, you know, apt to say yes if they
Right.
like the product.
Right.
So, you know, there are 2 ways to go with that. You can either say, I'm going all the way, and I'm going to find my own money, and I'm going to shoot this movie, and then I'm going to sell it, which is what I did. Or you can say, hey, I have a story, I have a book, I have an idea. It could be an original idea. It doesn't have to be from a book. And the number one thing is you have to have a script.
Right.
Most people will not give you a deal off of just your book.
Mm.
And that's a misconception as
Right.
well. I used to think the same thing. I was like, oh, people are going to love me. I have published 162 books. I have all this content. Yeah, they love the idea of it, but the next question is, where are the scripts?
So basically, you need to have everything already done.
You need to be moving.
Yeah.
You need to be moving.
So how do you feel about, like, when you said, like, you sold your movie? How do you feel about that? Do you lose the rights for that? How does that go?
So I didn't sell. I licensed.
Okay.
Yeah, I licensed. You can sell outright or you can license. And so all of the movies that I've done, we simply license. We're not selling
Absolutely.
at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how are your seminars? How did you start doing that? Because, I mean, you just in so many different pockets, and it's amazing.
Well, you know, it really is. People ask me that all the time. It seems like I'm doing a lot, but I'm really not. You know, my background is teaching.
Right.
So if I'm doing seminars, if I'm on a panel, all of that is really teaching,
Right.
essentially. And so that I will always do because that's where my passion is. If I'm on a movie set or if I'm doing something different, you know, that's just kind of what I'm doing for that moment. But my passion is to teach. It's where I started, and even though I left the classroom, that's what I still love to do. I teach online and I teach in person.
Great. And how will we sign up for, like, your online courses?
Yeah,
and things like that?
I do a lot of I would say start with the free sessions.
Okay.
Because you got to make sure you're ready for
Right,
me, right?
Gotta take you in
Yeah,
doses.
some people are like, she is too much. She didn't tell me that I need to put the book down. I need to do this. I need, you know. So I would say start with the free courses.
Okay.
If you just go online to TressaAzarel.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to spell Azarel just so people know how to spell it. It's Azarel.
Okay.
But TressaAzarel.com, there's a button that says free seminar.
Okay.
And if you put in your email and click that, it'll send you a phone number, a date, and a time. And then get on a call with me, and we start there and kind of talk about whether it's a book project, a script, you know, project, whatever it is that you're working on. Because it's different strokes for different folks.
Right, right. And what can we look forward in the future from you?
Oh, my goodness. So we have 2 movies that are getting ready to come out within the next 5 months.
Okay.
All in, featuring Little Mama, Elise Neal, Rob Riley, Jim Jones. Really, really great cast for All In. And then Sinners Wanted, which will come out in March.
Okay.
And that's featuring Lamont Rucker, Clifton Powell, Tracy Braxton.
Awesome.
So, and then we're getting ready to shoot 2 new films.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming to the
Thank
Red
you
Carpet
for
Lounge. Like,
having
I've learned
me.
so much just in this little time, and I know our
Oh,
audience
goodness.
definitely has too.
I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for tuning into the Jazzy Mango Red Carpet Lounge. I'm sitting here chilling with my homegirl, Miss Tressa Azarel. Let them know where they can find you at.
Yep, so you can find me in 2 ways. TressaAzarel.com. That's TRESSA Azarel, AZAREL.com. Or on social media, I'm everywhere at CEO Azarel.
Yes, guys, and make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Jazzy Mango Red Carpet Lounge, and also find me on the Silk White YouTube channel at Love Hurts. Love you guys. Mwah.
You jazzy. You everything a man could ever want, girl, you jazzy. You not about that drama, you loyal and classy, you jazzy. And all these other niggas shoot the shot, but you ain't had